Hold for
Oh,
one
sorry.
second. You have something in your hair.
Oh my God.
Oh my
What is it?
God.
It wasn't on
Oh
camera,
my
but it was just a
God.
little fuzz.
If it was a bug.
No, it's not a
You
bug.
guys,
It was
I
a
also
fuzz.
suppressed
White
like so
fuzz.
many burps when she was starting. I don't know if the close-up guy could see, but I was like, could you or no?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good stuff. All right, I'm sure he won't use any of that.
Could you imagine that's how we start?
They will.
Hey friends, it's your girl Emily Curl back at iHeartRadio headquarters, and today we're joined by Rachel Platten. Can we show some love for Rachel Platten in our studio? And this is really special for me. We got to talk a little bit off screen, but I actually interviewed you years ago, and so I feel like this is special. We're getting to reconnect, but I've gotten to watch your journey over the years as an artist, like with your family. You're becoming a mom, you're releasing new music. Like, this has just been so special for me.
Aw.
How has life looked for you, like, since we've last spoken? I feel like so much has changed.
Thank you so much. Yeah, off camera, we were really excited to reconnect and boring everyone in the room.
Yes.
But, yeah, I feel both. This is so familiar, and because I feel so different, it's wildly different to be doing this again. And I'm so proud of the woman I've become, and being a mother and learning to balance, like, how am I going to do career and motherhood as a, sort of new mom. And it's been a wild journey that I'm excited to dive into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start with the music for a second, because when,
Hold for
Oh,
one
sorry.
second. You have something in your hair.
oh my God.
Oh my
What is it?
God.
It wasn't on
Oh
camera,
my
but it was just a
God.
little fuzz.
If it was a bug.
No, it's not a
You
bug.
guys,
It
I
was a
also
fuzz.
suppressed
White
like so
fuzz.
many burps when she was starting. I don't know if the close-up guy could see, but I was like, could you or no?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good stuff. All right, I'm sure he won't use any of that.
Could you imagine that's how we start?
They will.
Is my hair crazy? I can move my hair
No, you
outside the
look
jacket.
really good.
Okay,
No,
okay.
you're good now.
Yeah.
I had a full bug in my hair. Dylan doesn't see.
It was just a little fuzz, but we're good.
Oh, it's so funny.
I'm just kidding. I was pretending that you had a bug in your hair. No one knew the backstory of why I did that. Okay, now I'm really ready.
I am crying. I hope all this makes it in the interview.
Oh my God, Emily! Okay, sorry.
We had so much to catch up on. We loved it.
We think we're supposed to be friends in real life.
Yeah,
That's
no, I
what's
think we are.
happening
I
here.
think we are. It was
Okay,
meant to
okay,
reconnect.
Okay.
I
we're
was
so
thinking
serious.
back to our last interview. It was the
Yeah.
music that was coming out, and you had just released Waves. This was I think in 2017.
Yeah.
And again, that I loved that album. We talked about that album, and then I think you took a little hiatus from music after that, correct?
Yeah.
And then now we're out with some new music. Why was that break important for you?
Well, I think that after Waves, like, Fight Song came after a long time of trying and kind of being rather anonymous, playing house concerts and living rooms and bars a lot in New York City, and no one was really paying attention. And it was 13 years of that, and Fight Song obviously was about me not giving up on that part of myself and that dream. But then it came, and this wild success came out of nowhere. And it was strange and jarring, and it was really hard to process, to be honest. At the time, I didn't know how to describe what I was feeling, but it was like, now looking back, I have so much empathy for that girl that just was like, wait, I matter all of a sudden, and I didn't before? Who am I? Like, and it was confusing. So fame out of nowhere for anyone is a little strange. And then what happened to me was this feeling of like, oh God, will this go away? Like, how do I hold on to this? How do I stay here and grasp this? And I feel like that was kind of my MO for a couple of years, was like really being in this industry with a lot of fear of how do I make myself matter? How do I make what I say matter? How do I make people care more and more and more? And like, it's insatiable. And by the time 2017 got here, I had really found that I'd lost my joy and like what really brought me hope and joy and love in the first place for music in the industry. Yeah. So the break was not just because of that, but it was also because I realized I want to be a mom and I want to have babies, and it lined up at the right time. I was feeling a little disillusioned, and like I lost my spark, and also my husband and I realized that it was kind of a perfect time to start a family. So we did that. I also wrote a children's book and wrote some music for my unborn baby at the time, and then I wrote a record. Like, as I was making my family, I wasn't just doing that. I was also returning to songwriting, but on my own terms. Music became, again, for me, something for me. Not what do I think people need? How do I matter? How do I stay relevant? But like, why do I do this in the first place? Because this is my purpose in life, and this helps me process my emotions. And I went through a really hard time, and my music was my medicine again.
Let's talk about motherhood for a second, because I feel like you have 2 beautiful baby girls.
Yeah,
how
they're so
has
cute.
how has that changed your life and changed who you are as an artist, especially?
Oh my gosh. It's hard to, it's so wild that the last time I was here doing any of this, I didn't have babies. It feels like
Yeah.
I can't remember life before it really. They're my everything.
And how old are they? How old are they right now?
My youngest is 2, Sophie, and my oldest just turned 5, Violet. And they've just expanded my heart. The only way I can describe it is it's like someone reached into my chest and just ripped open my heart, and both the joy and the highs are so big, and the pain and the lows are so big, and the fear and all the emotions are just amplified to a 10. And so because of that, there's this really deep well to pull from for my music and songwriting, not only about motherhood, which I wrote about a little bit on the album, but also just of my own process of changing, and I went through my own dark night of the soul and had to find what makes me again and what makes me whole again. Because when you're a mom and you become a mom, you kind of lose yourself in a little bit of a way. So it's kind of, creativity has been kind of a reclamation of identity for me.
Wow. Yeah, and it's so interesting. I'm so grateful that you share your stories, so openly about not only the joys that motherhood brings and how they've affected your life, but also the other side of that and what that can look like. And, even with my sister having kids or my friends having kids, I think you see a little bit more of the layered aspects of what that looks like and how it changes your life that maybe that picture was never painted before.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's been something that you've been so open about sharing on the other side of what that looks like. Why was that important for you to share that part with your audience as well?
I really don't know how to be anything but honest and go deep. I just don't like the surface. I can't really stay there. I'm kind of allergic to it. And I just don't do it. And so I use social media and my platform the same way that I use conversation in life. I'm just what's real here?
Yeah.
And not to try to make a point or anything, but it's just who I am. And I feel being vulnerable and open, I just was taught to be that from a young age. And that it's safe to share your emotions and that big feelings are okay. So that's just what I share. And I think as I started to share some of it bravely and the dark times that I went through, I realized that it was really resonating. And so that I think gave me encouragement, this is not only going to help me, my pain maybe has a purpose, and it is really powerful to kind of take off the mask and show who you really are, especially when it's echoed with support and people being oh my gosh, me too, I'm feeling that too. And then you're in community and you're realizing, oh, I'm not as alone as I thought I was.
Just seeing your fans reacting to your new song, Mercy, I mean, that has been just even as me, peeking in, that's got to feel so great as an artist. And this is a song that you said poured out of you in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was really quick. It was, again, not a traditional songwriting session that we do in LA, which often your label or manager will pair you with an artist, with a producer, and you'll go into a room and you'll be what are we going to write about today? And look, amazing songs come out of that too. But my music and my songwriting was a very different thing for me over the past 4 years. It was really like I said, it was medicine for me, and it was how am I going to process these huge feelings? And it was a vehicle out of the dark. So I was in a really, really hard time, and I ran to the piano and just was crying, wailing on the piano, and this song just flowed through me almost as an answer from God, you aren't alone, because the song is really a desperate plea, where are you? Where is, I can't take anymore, and songwriting was this unbelievable answer that I'm right here, you're okay, and that there's purpose for this.
Has spirituality played a big part in your life? Is that something that's important to you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm deeply spiritual. I know it's a little weird in this industry to talk about so openly, but I am, and I think that my music and the record and the music to come, you're going to be able to hear just the fact that, I really opened myself up, and I even right now in this interview, I asked before, just whatever wants to come through, and let me just be a vehicle, and I feel grateful to have a chance to be doing this again. I took it a little bit for granted when it was all so crazy, and I'm, as a mom now and 10 years later, I'm how beautiful that I get the opportunity to have a platform in any small way again. So I'm really just kind of opening myself up to let whatever truth needs to come through, if
Wow.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's wild to think. So was Fight Song, was it released 10 years ago? Is it 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is insane
I
to
know.
think about.
I know.
And the way that
I
that
know.
song just sort of took over, I mean, it was
It was crazy.
everywhere.
It was such a whirlwind. It
Like,
was-
do you think at the time you realized, like, what the effect of that song was going to be?
No, like I okay. On one hand, sort of, because as I was writing it, why I kept believing in myself, and still to this day, why I still have this grit and resilience. People ask me like, why? How do you crawl your way out of the dark? And it's this little part of me that is, I don't know, just knows that there's, light after the dark. That always knows, and that has faith in that way, even when it's horrible. So when I was writing Fight Song, I was really imagining, like, I'm going to not give up on this song. It took 2 years to write. I'm not going to give up on this because I feel that it's meant to help people. I was also singing in a lot of hospitals at the time for Musicians on Call, which I still do. And I could see the impact it was having. So I knew on the one hand that, like, it was really impacting people on a personal level, one-to-one. But, like, and I could dream that it might impact millions of people, but no, never. I mean, I couldn't. That was a really long-winded answer of
No,
I had
well,
no
I can't
idea,
believe- I
but
can't believe
also
it was
sort of.
2 years to write, too.
Yeah, I know. It was a
I think
battle.
what's so interesting about that too is you kind of touched on this earlier, but like you had been an artist for so long before that it was
Yeah.
not just like an overnight success. Like you
No.
had been working, songwriting,
Yeah.
like you had been building this brand.
Yeah.
And then after that moment, like we kind of touched on this, but like what switched? Like what changed after that? Like do you feel like it was, and how did like you approach it moving forward?
It was so strange to have attention after not, like, I would be in a bar begging people to listen.
Yeah.
Like fighting against sports games and like really just close to here, honestly, in New York City, and like,
Yeah.
and then just having eyes on you all the time it's just really strange. I think all of a sudden it's hard to maintain a sense of who you are and your like authentic self because people reward you for like one version of you, but there's lots of versions of you, like there's lots of
Yeah.
Emilys, there's lots of
Yes,
Rachels, but
yes.
people were really celebrating the like empowered one, and then there was parts of me that I kind of was like, oh, well then you're not allowed because only this part like gets me attention or makes me famous. That makes sense?
Yes, and especially because again that song, like
Yeah, the song is like this really empowering, incredible thing. And yes, I am this woman who never gives up on herself, but I'm also a woman that struggles with doubt and anxiety and my own demons. And I'm like, I think that a lot of this new music has been about integrating the dark and the light. And so you can hear on Mercy and Girls, I believe, a more integrated self. Like even my voice, my singing voice is richer, and there's so much soul in it that I can hear a difference. I know a difference when I sing, and I think it's because I'm like allowing just the full spectrum of humanity to come through. Yeah,
and that takes time, I think, as an artist to figure that out too.
Yeah, and also feel like you have permission to be that, you know,
Yes,
because like
yeah.
we have to focus on one thing and like very narrowly to kind of break through the noise, but we're a lot of things, you know, and so to be allowed to change and grow, I think is the other reason that I took time, because I didn't know how to allow this next phase and what else I needed to say. It took time. It took massive change. It took battling my own demons and then finding light again.
And let's talk about Girls. I love the song, and I'll tell you why. Like my first instinct is like even thinking back to this like summer of like the summer of girlhood and reclaiming that, and like Barbie and going to the theaters and listening to albums and like seeing your friends and like all these things. I feel like it was just such a great time for that song to come out.
Wow.
Did you feel that too, like the power of like the girlhood and like that movement along with Girls being released?
That was really wild. I didn't know that was going to be happening, but I did trust, you know, a inner voice and like this inner knowing of when it was time. And I actually pushed against my team. And I said at the time, they were like, that doesn't make any sense to release this. The rest of the record's not ready. Like it's not, you know, we don't have a label. It doesn't make sense. And I just had this like voice being like, no, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. And even if we have to rush to get it, it has to be right now. So there must have been a part of me that knew, and it was really special to watch. And like now watching it be climbing the charts is really wild and so incredible. It's like my little engine that could, you know.
Yeah. And there's also a crazy story behind it. So it was inspired by an unlikely friendship. Is that correct? Your neighbor Gloria?
It's not totally true.
Okay,
I feel
okay.
like that would be so fun if it was. But my friend Gloria is 100. She's my neighbor,
Okay.
and she's lovely. But I wrote the song for my 2 daughters, Violet and Sophie, and it was a love letter, like what I want them to know in the world. And I did play it for Gloria, and
What did she think?
I think she was like, "That's fine," and I have a better idea for the end. There's a TikTok of it, actually.
That's
you
so
can watch.
funny.
She was like, no, that's nice, but let me take over now. And she started playing something else at the end. And
Wait,
everyone's
that's
like,
hysterical. We
they're
love
like,
that.
record Gloria's version. I was like, thank you.
Okay, got it. What do your girls think of the song? Like, did they? I feel like your older one probably understands.
She's sort of like a little wide-eyed. They're kind of starting to understand a little bit. She came to see me perform it on a TV show a couple weeks ago, and she was just a little like, I think, stunned and maybe like, what is happening? Why is everyone looking at mom? And but they love the song and they call it their song. And my youngest Sophie will ask me sometimes to sing it for her. She's like, no, my song. Sing me my song.
It's so funny. It's like, did they realize that like you're singing to them at night? It's like you have literally the voice of an angel. Like, do they understand that like their mom can sing like this?
No, but this is actually really funny. I told my husband the other night. So my youngest, they don't appreciate that I'm a good songwriter, and that's something unique. Like Sophie's like, can you write a song about my day right now? And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, no, can you write a song about when I got my nails done? And I'm like, okay. And then I sing it. And then she's like, now can you write a song about when my baba was gone and now? And I'm like, she's like, really like a really like rigid label executive. She's like,
She's gonna be getting an agency fee.
literally,
She's like, yeah.
like, and I do them all to the tune of like, na, na, na. I'm like, Sophie got her nails done.
And just hours and hours. You're like, this
This is so. I'm like, you're not even exploring my talent, Sophie. I don't think they
That's
know.
so
I don't
funny.
think they know, but they think that they do like my voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes they tell me
Oh,
to
and
be
then
quiet.
other times like, okay, mom, we don't need this right now.
A lot of times, actually, that.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're also working on an album, and you called this your dream album.
Did I?
Yeah.
It is.
Is it your
I'm
dream album?
so-
What
it's
does like a
done.
Rachel Platten dream album look like? Oh, because the album is done.
I'm so proud. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that, but it is.
Producer Dylan, or can we say it?
I have no idea.
It's done.
Whatever.
It's out. It's done.
It's not done. It's not out.
It's not out.
It's not done.
done.
It's not mastered, but it's like my part is done.
You know it's
you
done.
know?
Yeah.
I am so incredibly proud of it.
Yeah.
I've never loved anything more that I've made.
Stop.
No, I just
Why do you say that? What about it?
I produced it with my best friends. We went to Nashville. It was made in such a different way than I've ever made music. I mean, it actually reminded me of before I knew what I was doing. Like the first time I made a record when I was in college, I went in with a bunch of musicians and we recorded it all in the room, live, no auto-tune or clicks or anything.
Yeah.
And then I learned the proper way to do it. And this time I unlearned it all, but with like, a beginner's mind, but as with 20 years of experience and like, oh my God, I got the best musicians possible.
Wow.
I got us all in a room.
Yeah, paint the scene for me.
Okay.
I want to feel like I'm there.
Okay. So it's my best friends, Jason Evigan and Gian Stone. They are incredibly talented, Grammy-winning producers, and they came to a concert and they heard my music and they pitched me this idea. So to be fair, I had in my head what I sort of wanted, but they said, Rachel, let's go to Nashville for 2 weeks. We'll stay at Jason's house. We'll get Aaron Sterling on drums, who's probably the best drummer in the world. We'll get this incredible band that did Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves and Taylor's stuff, and we'll put them all in a room.
Wow.
You are talented enough, they were saying to me, that you can lead the band in this way. And it was so affirming for me to be like, yes, I am. I don't actually need a bunch of producers or opinions. Like, I can actually do this. This is what I used to do. And
it goes back to your internal knowing that
yes,
you're saying that
my
like, comes with
intuition,
time.
like,
yeah.
and all these musicians in a room, and they're all looking at me like, what do you want from your music? How do you want the drums to sound? How do you want the guitar to feel? And me and Jason and Gian were like doing it together, but it was a lot of me dictating like, actually, you know what? I don't like, when you get big in that part, can you try?
And you felt ready to like step into that role.
Yes.
Like you were like, this is my time.
Yes, I didn't know that I would, but it was incredible because like all of a sudden there I was behind the piano, mic, incredible RCA mic with like this beautiful tube mic and this beautiful piano and like I'm leading the band and we recorded a lot of it off the grid, which means there's no click, there's no time signature, there's no auto-tune, there's nothing. It's like just us in a room the way they used to do it. So you can feel the soul in it. And then I got my best friends in the world to come sing backing vocals, and I arranged the harmonies, and like.
So this was like a full like family and friends affair.
Yes,
this
it
is
was
like
the
a personal
best
album.
Yeah, it is. And it was. It's just. I love it so much.
Like
I'm so
thematically, the
proud.
content. What can we expect in that way?
So it was incredibly joyful to produce, but the content, it really is deep, and it talks about my own hero's journey of going and battling my demons and falling on my knees and surrendering and crying mercy, which you heard, and then like how do I crawl my way out of the dark and into the light again. So it's the story of resilience and grit, and I see it as a movie or a musical someday. And like it's also the story of love and between my husband and I, and how I realized that like I'm not alone. I've had him the whole time. Let him in, and like let him walk with me and hold my hand and be my partner truly in this.
And how long have you guys been together? You guys been together
For 17 years.
Wow. Yeah. So it almost feels like a rediscovery in that way too.
It was finding, he's running our label now, and I have an incredible team with, you know, my management and lawyer and agents, but like, you know, really it's Kevin and I at the end of the day making these decisions together, and it wasn't like that before. It was like that before Fight Song.
Yeah.
You know, it was just Kevin and I before Fight Song, like figuring out when everyone kind of ignored us and walked away. It was really Kevin and I, him holding me and picking me up off the floor when I was crying and like, I can't do this, I can't keep going. And he would remind me, yes, you can, you know, yes, you can. And here's this money that we were going to put a down payment on a house, like take it and produce Fight Song. And so he's my true partner. And like, so the album's a story of love, and also the story of me, my own reclamation of strength and identity. And it's powerful.
I am so excited to hear it.
It's
That's
really
so beautiful. Okay, do we have a timeline? Can I ask you that? Not sure yet. TBD.
I have no idea if I'm allowed to say. I don't know.
Okay. Well, wait.
I have
No.
I have no idea. It's really just me. I'm the boss, so I can say. Yeah, it's gonna be. We're gonna be releasing another one before May for Mental Health Awareness Month, and that will tell a little bit more of the story of the dark, and then we'll start to reach the light, and it'll kind of like you'll reach kind of me finding my power, and then
taking us on a full journey.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am so excited to hear that. Do your girls love it? Have they listened to the full thing?
They haven't listened to the full thing.
Okay.
I think they got bored. To be honest,
They're like, sing about my nails again.
I think they were like, "Can you play just Fight Song again?" I was like, "Oh, guys, you're the problem."
It's so funny. And then I'm sure for you, like, are you still like dreaming up new ideas? Like, you have this like creative spurt.
Yes.
You produce this music. Like, what's happening after that?
Yeah, creativity for me has become such a joy and a luxury. And like, as a mother, you know, of young kids, it's like when I get a chance to be in a studio, it doesn't feel like work anymore to me to be writing. It's like pure freedom and joy, and so and ease and fun, and like
As it should be.
Yeah, but it's hard because you start from that place, and then you have a lot of voices and a lot of people with a lot of money riding on you producing, and like needing to keep, you know, and creativity doesn't work like that. You have to let it flow and let it come, and like you can set barometers and be like, I'm going to be in the studio from 9 to 4, but you have to then say the surrender of like what comes, and there can't be pressure.
Do you have any like? Do you get writer's block? And if so, like, what do you do? Like, do you have like any rituals that you do every day to like help with like your creativity or the actual process?
I don't really get writer's block anymore because
You're just like, I'm in a different space.
I'm just in a different space. I'm not putting. I think because I'm not squeezing it, I don't need it to come. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not like I've ever gone to the piano and nothing's there. When I go to the piano, there's always something there, because I think as a mother and this huge well of trauma and shit to pull from, there's always something. And I'm working so hard on myself, like a lot of us are, that I'm constantly in process and changing, and like, yeah, songwriting is a way for me to just pull from that. But I think tips in terms of like, for artists that are blocked, I have been in the past, and I think completely take the pressure off of the art, maybe change to a different art form, like I paint, and I'm a bad dancer, but I dance, and I like move, and I do yoga, and I flow and go to nature, like big nature, like mountains or oceans.
Yeah,
and
just like a nice reset.
Yeah, like ground yourself and flow and take the pressure off, because it's really about a state of allowing. You have to get yourself in a state of calm so that it comes through you.
Yeah.
It's not about yelling or grabbing it.
Right. The free flowing.
I think.
And then now you're in the city, and you are going to see some special friends tomorrow night. We were hearing all about this show. Can you tell us what you're doing tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow? Or It's tomorrow.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
What day
I
is
was like,
today?
who am I seeing tomorrow?
It's all of us. It's just round two.
I'm so excited. I haven't seen Kelsey Ballerini in a while, and we text sometimes, and like, I'm really excited to see her and give her a hug. She's such a little dumpling.
And I loved her last album was
so good. So good. And Megan Trainor is so sweet and a fellow mama, and I love musicians that are moms. It's going to be really cool. Christina Perry is also a mama, and my mom friend in LA, and we're going to get to be on stage together, and it's just going to be so cool. And Elle King, like, it's a lot of women that have lived life and been through stuff and have something to say, and I think that's really, really special. The fact that someone's giving us a platform is amazing. You know, you take it for granted that, like, people want to hear what moms have to say, and
1,000%.
I'm proud of that.
And it goes back to like the girlhood of it all. It's like I feel like women supporting women, and we're all out here together, and like it's just so important.
There's room for all of us.
For all of it.
There's so many different voices, and we need them all.
Yeah. Well, we're so grateful for your voice, Rachel. Thank you so much for your time. I can't believe I got to see you
That was
again.
so fun.
This
Should we
is
hang
so
out?
great. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be there on Wednesday for sure. One more time for Rachel Platten in our studio. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. I cannot wait to see. Thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out a few more over here, and don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. We'll see you next time.